Welcome to the Mindfulness of Singing, and I'm Denise, your sassy, spunky scientist.
And I'm Tony, your bubbly, big-hearted flower child.
Our podcast features practical tips and tools for a journey of transformation using the healing power of your voice.
Each podcast, we will delve into the mind, body, and spirit connection by interviewing inspirational guests, sharing personal stories, and discussing the most recent scientific research.
Tune in and join our community of mindful singers.
Hi, everybody. We're together
Again, our second podcast together in the same room.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a lot better like this for sure. So, who's our guest today? This is somebody that's your friend.
Yes, it is. You met my friend Mark Moliterno from YogaVoice, and this is his business partner, Kristin Roney. And she is a mezzo-soprano with a lovely voice, and she has a Reiki level 3 certification in addition to all of her yoga teacher training and YogaVoice training. And she has a degree from Arizona State University, a master's in music. And she's a lovely woman that I've had the pleasure of knowing on many occasions through YogaVoice. So
Wow, a Reiki 3 healer. That's cool.
Yeah, it is.
I can't wait to hear about that. Also, look at what we have.
Ta-da!
T-shirts.
And you can have one too. And how can they get one too, Denise?
You can get one. Well, you can order one.
Right.
But what we're doing right now to introduce them is to get you to subscribe to our newsletter. Go to our website. I started to say Facebook page, but go to our website, mindfulnessofsinging.com. And when the little pop-up happens, pop up, subscribe, become somebody who gets our newsletter. And the first 100 people will be put in a drawing, and we'll draw out a name to get
Your shirt.
only yours will come in color. This
Yeah.
was a little mistake of mine, but
It's still nice.
I like it.
And we're halfway there. So don't delay. Sign up, subscribe today, and help us make our drawing happen. So let's bring Kristen on.
Okay. Hi, Kristen.
Hi.
Hey. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Thank you for joining us. I hope I meant to make sure that you brought something fun with you for show and tell. I'm sure you did. You don't have to get it yet, but you have it with you, right?
Yes, it's nearby.
Okay, great. Well, it's so good to see you. And just to catch our listeners up, if you didn't get to view our podcast with Mark Moliterno, go back and check that out. And this is Kristin Roney, his partner in positivity. I like to say about Denise, they're co-founders of YogaVoice. So
She is his business partner. Yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. And
So tell us, Kristen, how did that come about? How did you and Mark connect? And
Sure. So I can't remember what year it was, but I was performing a lot and I was not happy. And I was really surprised that I was really unhappy and I couldn't figure out why am I so miserable? Uh-oh. And I had all these gigs and I thought, well, this is it. You're supposed to be excited. And then I wasn't, and I couldn't figure out why. And a friend said, hey, have you heard of this guy, Mark Moliterno? And I said, no. And I was like, why? What's he about? And then she said, he does this thing called YogaVoice. And me being who I am and being into metaphysical things and mindfulness stuff and chakras and all that, I'm very interested in that, or have been historically. She was like, you should check him out and see. And I had one lesson and I was like, great, sign me up. So I studied with Mark privately, actually, and he was my teacher for quite a few years. And our lessons were YogaVoice technique based. And I had such a positive experience as a student. And then I decided to go through teacher training, which Tony has gone through as well. And actually the first intensive I ever went to, Tony was presenting. I think that was the one you graduated at, was the one, my very first intensive. And I remember.
didn't know that. I thought you had been around. Well, how about that? I thought you were before me. Well, I'm learning something new. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
My graduation.
yeah, so you were giving your like final presentation, and I just remember you because like you're so vivacious. So I was like, oh, she's so great.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you.
She is
Likewise.
vivacious.
Likewise.
Yeah. When I think of Tony, that's what I think of. But so I went through teacher training like Tony and many other people, and I had a lot of success with that. And I felt a lot more joy in my own singing and my teaching. And I just felt so much more aligned with my own principles and purpose, or dharma, if you will. And Mark continued to be my teacher. And then the relationship morphed from like teacher student to, he asked if I would help him with some things. So I did. And then we decided to become partners. And YogaVoice is now an LLC, and we're equal partners. And it's just so exciting. And we spent the past year really working on our partnership, and we can't wait to see what happens.
You guys are taking it to the next level, as they say. Having watched Mark's journey, and you're a great asset and great team, and having attended some of your live seminars in COVID. But the most exciting thing I want to hear about, I know it's been in the works for a long time. In fact, it's been a vision and an idea of Mark's for many years. And it's waiting for me at my house in Arkansas. It arrived. If I'd thought about it, I would have had it sent to Virginia. I knew that it was going to come, but I thought I'd be back, but I'm just on the road more. My vagabond life has returned. So please share with all our listeners the backstory of the creation of the show and tell you're about to reveal.
Yes. Okay. Backstory. So the Vocal Vinyasa is the proprietary sequence that we use that we teach in YogaVoice. And it's a sequence of asanas, or yoga postures. And we often get comments from people who have done it before, or who are very seasoned, and newbies that are like, do you have anything that I can use to like practice? Or I can't remember it. It's easier for me if I have a visual. A lot of people are visual learners. And so we really wanted to make a tool that was user friendly and accessible, and also something that people could play with that would invite creativity. And so we came up with, and my child emptied the deck out onto my floor earlier, so I don't know where the first card is, but it's called the Vocal Vinyasa Deck. And this is Mark doing camel, which is a fourth chakra pose. But it's a beautiful deck, and it's a deck of cards, and they're quite large so that they're easy to see. And they
just like 5 by 7. How I can't tell from when you say quite large. Oh, okay, 3.
Like not like a playing card. Yeah. And what they do is they're meant to be used if you're familiar with the Vocal Vinyasa. Like if you've done it before, then this is for you. If you've never done it before and you kind of want to wet your feet and like see like how it works, it's also for you. It's very user friendly. So for example, for each chakra, there is a card that explains the attributes of that chakra and a brief blurb about what it's responsible for and how it connects to the voice, right? And then it gives you 3 options. So there's like the original asana, which is warrior 1, and then 2 alternate postures if you want to try something different or just explore a bit and play. And then you can build your own sequence. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
So why don't you draw a card out of the deck and demonstrate for us what's on the front and back, and kind of walk our listeners through so they can get a feel for it.
But first, I'm going to be that person. What if I don't know what vinyasa means?
Okay, so you don't really have to know what vinyasa means, I think, in order to do this. Vocal vinyasa is Vinyasa is flow, right? So the idea that you flow from one vinyasa style is that you flow from one asana to the next, right?
And an asana is what?
An asana is a yoga posture. So like tree pose or seated twist or warrior one, warrior two, each of those is an asana. And we like to think of asana as a seat for your breath. So in Yoga Voice, we're always interested, and Tony can attest to this, that it's not about being on the cover of Yoga Journal. It's about being comfortable and at ease in the posture. So whatever position your body is in or whatever shape your body is in, it is a seat for your breath. So at all times, we want to make sure that our breath is moving with ease and comfort and ease. And if that means twisting only a little bit to the right instead of doing a full twist, then that's how far you go today in this given moment. So it's all about what works for your body.
Okay. Now, just want our listeners who may not know anything about yoga or may have been really intimidated by yoga, just and don't do yoga, so that they're not lost when we start using big Sanskrit words, you know.
Well, and
They're like,
you hear in all the Sanskrit postures, asana at the end.
Right.
Kangasana, it just means pose, whatever pose. So that's the Sanskrit. So that, and vocal vinyasa, the flow of that series.
Right, exactly. And then on all the cards, so let's find one for example here. Look at me being so picky and choosy. I'm like, not this one, not that one. I want seated twist is what I want. Okay, here we go. So in our deck, we chose to use the English names for postures because we thought that was more user-friendly. And so for each one, there's a chakra card, right? So it looks like this. And on the front, it says third chakra. And you notice there's yellow on the card because that's a color associated with this chakra. And then it gives you like a drive-by of the chakra, like the location, what it's responsible for, the element, the color, all those attributes, the knots, the vocal attributes, and then yoga practices.
Kristen,
and then on the
excuse me for interrupting. Can you bring that closer to the screen for a little bit?
So it looks like this on one side.
cool. Okay.
And then on the back side, there's an explanation about the chakra. And so for example, on this one, it says ego is not a dirty word. And then because third chakra deals with the ego, right? And let's look at this posture. So it's a seated twist. So on the front is an image, these beautiful black and white images. And this one's obviously Mark. So you have a visual. So this is what the posture looks like. And then on the back, it's written out with cues. So there are cues on how to do it. So maybe you would say, I'm feeling a bit unmoored. I want to feel a bit more grounded and close to the earth. And I wanted, or maybe you're not feeling so great and you kind of want to stay like close to the ground and not do a lot of standing stuff. Maybe you would do a war for first chakra, you could do a yoga squat. And then for second chakra, you could do pigeon pose. And then for third chakra, you could do a seated twist. So you just kind of like stay down. So there are options, right? So you can work through the posture and you're cued on the back. So we could do the seated twist now if you wanted, but
sure, go ahead. Why don't you demonstrate?
Okay. I didn't know what you meant by demonstrating. If you wanted like the whole shebang.
We did last week we got up and demonstrated something. So I thought, why not?
I don't know if we'll be.
We
able
don't
to
have
do
the
that where
room. We
are right
didn't
now, but-
stage for today. But you have the space. So go ahead.
Okay, great. So I'm going to do seated twist for third chakra. So this is the area above the navel and below the sternum, right? Your solar plexus. And this is the agility center of the body. It's responsible for all the vibrancy in your sound, personality, ego, you name it, that's it. So what we do first is we get into a simple seated posture and we just find the tips of our sits bones and we want to get ourselves right on top of both. Make sure our weight is evenly distributed front to front and side to side. And then we inhale, both arms up, and then exhale, and then turn to the right. So you start your exhalation, and then you rotate around your spine without compressing the spine, right? So if we're compressing the spine, it's defeating the purpose because we're crunching the body and spine down. We want to keep it super elongated. And if that means that today I can only twist this far, that's great. If it means I can go this far today, that's great too. It does not matter. The point is that the asana is supposed to serve your voice, not vice versa, right? So right hand is behind me like a second spine. Left hand is on the outside of my right knee. And I'm just going to check in and make sure that my ears are over my shoulders and I haven't collapsed down on myself in an effort to twist. And we start with a bija mantra, or in this case, we're going to do, let's do the bija mantra first. So this would be Ram. And it like fire, and you want it to originate from the navel moving back towards the spine. So we would do it in the twist. Ram, 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 ram. And maybe you do that a few times until you feel like you are building awareness of sensations in this region of the body. And then we would switch to balancing vowel sound, which would be an ah. And what Mark and I have been working on a lot lately is this concept of primal toning, that if you take the balancing vowel sound ah and you apply an elemental quality to it, which would be fire for this chakra, then you are going to get a primal sound that would liken itself to laughter, right? So it would sound maybe something like this. Like high, low, all over the place. The point is to play. The sillier you feel, the better. If you feel ridiculous, you're right on the money. And then if you wanted, you could even go a step further and sing a passage of your repertoire in this posture. And notice what you notice. When you go to do the agility exercise, do you feel like you start gripping in your midline? Or does it feel fluid and flexible? Whatever it is, you just make a note, and then you come out of it and you switch to the other side. And then in YogaVoice, what we do at the end of each asana is we allow time for integration. So about 5 breaths, it takes the brain about 30 seconds to imprint something positive. So we allow that time to really imprint the sensations. So you're really listening internally to, what am I feeling where? What is that? What is this information that my body is offering me? And then you get to make a choice. Does your current physical pattern serve you? Physical or mental pattern, right? Because there are patterns in the mind as well, as you ladies know. And does this serve you or does this not serve you? And if it doesn't serve you, what is it about a seated twist, or what comes up in a seated twist for you that would serve you vocally when you're standing? And like trying to find that pattern, and then you try and lift it. So then we like to toggle in and out of asanas to be able to maintain the residue of whatever it is in seated twist that is serving you. If that makes sense.
Beautiful. No, that's great. Now I know our listeners are intrigued and they want their own deck, and they're like, where do I rush out and get one? And I bet you can tell them.
I can tell them. So the deck is on our website, YogaVoice.com. And if you click on it, it takes you to our Podia page, which is our storefront. And that's YogaVoice.podia.com. And you can get the deck there, and it gets mailed to you in this really cute mailer that we're very proud of because we made it.
Nice. Very cute.
Our logo. And so we have that, and then we have a lot of opportunities to practice it. So every month we have vocal vinyasa classes, and it's a great kind of like low stakes, try it out, see what you think. And then we have,
So that people can be informed of when those are happening. I believe there's a way to subscribe to get that information. Is that correct?
Yes, there is, Miss Tony. It's on the bottom of our website. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You are such a pip. So you can.
Gosh, that was so loud in my.
Sorry, Denise.
Eh? What? What are we
Huh?
saying? I'm deaf now. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we have a newsletter you can subscribe to, and then we always put out information about events. You can follow us on Instagram, and we are
Oh, no.
posting, educational things, then information on events that are coming up, and and we have an intensive coming up, so we're very excited about that. That's what we're gearing up for.
And when is that?
The first day of the intensive is July 24th, so it's the 24th, 25th.
That's like really coming up.
Yeah, and then we take a few days off, and then we have a single day, a few days off, and then 2 more days. And each day is designed to be either like if you can only do like 1 day, you'll get a lot out of it. Or if you want to do all 5, they can build on each other. So they are like built as standalones or sequential, depending on your level of involvement. And we're very excited, especially about the idea of this primal toning that we've developed, with the idea of the balancing vowel sound with an elemental treatment creates this primal tone. And we're interested in helping people who are non-singers or singers that don't have the classical bel canto singing vocabulary to access sensations in the body and really reveal their voice to themselves and realize that everything they want, they already have. They just have to connect with it, right? And going about it this way.
Will Denise Mihalik be a part of the final on the week? So I want to make a plug for our listeners because we've also interviewed her as well. So she's just absolutely lovely. And having done the vocal intensive in a variety of settings, live, and then last summer I did the online, and I remember it's pretty exhilarating, exhausting. It's an interesting mix because at the end of the day, you've done so much, but you've been drinking from the fountain, so to speak. So you're kind of tired. And anyway, I wondered how it would work. And it was a very smart move that you guys did to break it up like that, where it's not like the live intensive where it's every day since it's online. So it worked really well. So I encourage people that are interested, but think I can't be on Zoom that many hours. They programmed it with all that in mind. And so it's lovely. And so I wish you guys the best with that. That's awesome. And thanks for letting me see a sneak peek of my deck that's waiting for me when I get home. And I've hogged the conversation a little bit as usual. My partner is not too surprised that, but you didn't interrupt me
Well,
too
I
much.
mean, this is her jam, right?
Right.
Like she starts talking in Sanskrit and I'm like, what? Okay. Anyway, so it's all good, but I'm learning. I just read a book called Introduction to Chakras. So now I knew that color was yellow, and I knew it was the solar plexus, and I knew it was all about the ego. And
Brava.
and I know no one will be surprised that that's not where I am
Suffering.
clogged.
Clogged.
Blocked. That.
I love Denise's the fresh approach to the
See,
words.
I don't know. Clogged, blocked, it's the same thing.
Yes. It's whatever you need it to be for you. That's the whole point.
Yes.
The best one she says is for ego eradicator. What do you like to call that?
Ego killer.
Killer. Yeah, killer. That's how he corrects me. A very yoga-ish word, ego killer. But
Let's kill it. Anyway, all right. So what do you have coming up, Kristen, besides all of that? What do you guys have? Okay, so I feel like the last time we talked to Mark, he was saying something about maybe the possibility of moving out of just singer world, but maybe into some business and corporate things. How's that moving along? And
Yeah, so thank you for asking. It's moving well. So Mark and I both made big transitions in our careers to doing YogaVoice full time.
I didn't realize he'd done that. Okay.
Yeah, so we both did recently in the last month, and that was because we got to this point where it was so obvious that like YogaVoice needed more time than we had in our schedule, so we had to make time. So we made time.
Congratulations! That's a big step. That's awesome.
Thank you. It's easier on the buddy system, as we say. So if you jump together, so we jump together. So we're definitely excited. And exactly that, what Mark was talking about previously. We're working on expanding YogaVoice for different type of clientele. So we've always worked with singers and artists to some capacity, and we're very interested in helping working with people that, how do I say this? Like, we want to partner with others to help them achieve their purpose through working with their voice. So we know, like the three of us know, and many of your listeners know, right? Like the power of working with the human voice and what that does. But so many people don't have access to that because they're not classically trained, or they're not singers, or they wouldn't label themselves as singers, right? But singing is for everybody, right? Totally. So we're interested in bringing the program to corporate settings. And we have a program called Employee Meta that we've developed. So it's the YogaVoice methodology, but we use certain language that is much more accessible to someone that would be, quote unquote, not a singer, or, you know, or a voice user, however they would describe themselves. So yeah, we have some irons in the fire, and we will make announcements as those things come up. So that's super exciting. And then still working on serving our singing community, our musician community, but, you know, branching out a little bit. So,
Well, this is a little bit off topic, but as I always do when we're going to have a guest, I like to research, even though I know you and I haven't ever sat and interviewed you though. When I looked at your bio and background, I noticed that you have a level 3 Reiki certification. And I didn't know that. And so interesting new bit of trivia. So are you able to incorporate that anyway? Well, now I guess you're not going to be taking private students anymore. Is that still something that you do, or how does that tie into all of your expertise? What is your story?
So Reiki, I still maintain a private studio of my own that's remote. So I teach privately, but I keep my studio super small because I like to be very available to my students. Because I have a lot of teenagers and they have a lot of questions outside of their lesson, and I like to make sure that I can meet that need. So I like my studio small. And I keep it that way. So I actually use Reiki in teaching if I have permission to do so. I find that it helps me intuitively cue into something that might be happening in the session, like in the lesson. And Reiki is always done with permission, right? So it's an exchange of energy, and voice lessons very much are an exchange of energy, right?
Absolutely.
The human voice is energetic, right? And sometimes I will have adult students that ask for Reiki, and I'll come if we were in person, for example. Or do you hear him in the background?
Yes, I do. How old is he now?
He's 18 months.
Wow.
Do you need to get in?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
He has molars coming in, so it's just like it's
Okay.
really intense.
Well, we love babies. You can bring your baby to the camera.
Oh, he would love it. He loves being on camera.
We'll let you show him off as well as your cards too.
I mean, you probably don't want him all over YouTube, but anyway,
not right now, no. But in the future, you can see him. But sorry, the Reiki. So because I'm a level 3, I can do distance Reiki healing. So sometimes with as voice teachers, we know that people come to lessons because they go, oh, I want to sing, but it's always so much more than that. It's always so much more. And it reveals itself, right? The more people start to use their voices, the more that comes out. And it's really important to honor that and create a safe space for that. And Reiki is part of how I create a safe space. My students know that it's an option. And if they want it for support while they're singing, or if they feel
blocked in a specific area of their body, I can offer that.
Cool.
So for our listeners who are like me, Tell
Yes.
us what Reiki is.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what my interpretation of Reiki is, because there's many different interpretations. Reiki is the word for, so it originated in Japan, and it's the word for like the universal energy that is the web that connects everything. Every person, every creature, every living being, right? And the idea is that everybody has this universal energy within them already. And it's a part of you because you're a living, breathing person. And that sometimes that energy can get stuck or blocked or knotted or clogged if you're
I'm just gonna say, and don't forget clogged. It can get clogged. So just honor all expressions of that.
Yeah. Okay.
or clogged. So, and sometimes people need support to help move it along. Reiki is very popular for people that are experiencing grief, things that feel almost too heavy to bear alone, like that you need extra support for. It's used for so many things. It's used like, oh, I hurt my ankle, I have a toothache, or I had a loss in my family and I feel I'm grieving. Like it can run the gamut of things that it's used for. And I've gone through attunements so that I can use my own body as a channel for it. So the idea is that I can either physically place my hands on you or do it at a distance. I can be on the other side of the world. And through my training that I went through, I can channel Reiki to give you like a boost, like an energy boost, and kind of help your body re-regulate itself.
Interesting. So Reiki, I had no idea that it was a tradition out of Japan, and it's interesting to me that it's a word or tradition out of Japan that also intersects with something that's Asian Indian, like chakras and things from Sanskrit, because Sanskrit is not a Japanese tradition.
No, so right, and
That's so well together, because don't you talk about healing chakras in Reiki, or no? Do you not use the terminology?
you do talk about chakras. And what's so interesting about all these things and you just said it, is that there's so much overlap between these different schools of philosophy. And everybody has a different viewpoint, but personally, it's like, well, that doesn't feel like a coincidence that in Buddhism they believe this, and in Reiki, even Reiki's not a religion, it's a practice, but they have this certain belief set. And then chakras for yoga, like it's like like if they're showing up everywhere, it's there has to be some truth to that. For me, there's truth to that, but that's up to each individual. And yes, in Reiki, you sense into individual chakras. That's one way to go about it. Or you can offer whole body healing, but you can scan someone's chakras and see where their deficiencies or excess, and then kind of rebalance them out.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. We gave a lot of our listeners some stuff,
Food for thought.
some stuff to think about.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, and we'll let you get back to your cutie pie. And I'm so happy for you guys and all your success, and I wish you the very, very best. And it was nice to chat with you when we weren't doing something that, together in a workshop or whatever. And so thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Tony, it was such a pleasure to see you. And Jace, it was so nice to meet you.
To meet you. Thank you, Kristen.
You have a great night.
Thank you so much for listening. We are very grateful that you joined us today.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe, write a review, share it with a friend.